In a land of ancient mysteries where the veil between worlds is thin, ancient forests, teeming with life and secrets, stood as silent guardians of time. And flowing rivers like veins of the earth carried whispers of forgotten lore. Lived the Silvani people, a tribe deeply connected to the natural world, their lives intertwined with the rhythm of the forest. They were guided by their young queen Lyra, a leader as wild and untamed as the woods themselves. Lyra was not a typical monarch. She possessed a spirit that resonated with the ancient trees and a heart that beat in harmony with her people. Barefoot among the trees, she felt the pulse of the land beneath her feet, drawing strength and wisdom from its depths. She listened to her people, not from a throne but amongst them, understanding their needs and sharing their joys and sorrows, and knew every path of her realm, every hidden glade and sun-dappled clearing, as intimately as she knew her own heart. The Silvani cherished freedom, a gift they held sacred above all else, a birthright passed down through generations, their own gods, spirits of the forest and sky, woven into the fabric of their daily lives, and traditions passed down through stories and songs, connecting them to their ancestors and the ancient magic of the woods, carved in wood, symbols of their beliefs and protectors of their homes, and sung in song, tales of bravery, love, and the enduring power of nature. But a shadow crept closer, a darkness that threatened to extinguish the light of their world. The Athelian Empire, a force of iron and ambition, hungry for land and power. With its legions marching relentlessly towards the Silvani's borders, their banners a symbol of impending doom, and hunger for conquest, an insatiable desire to dominate all that lay before them. News of the Empire's advance, carried on the wind and whispered through the trees, chilled the whispering woods, casting a pall of fear over the once peaceful realm. Lyra sensed the coming storm, a weight settling upon her heart, a premonition of the trials to come. In every rustling leaf she heard the echoes of war, the whispers of uncertainty. The peace of her land was under threat, the tranquility of the forest about to be shattered by the clash of steel. And her people looked to her for hope, their eyes filled with a mixture of fear and unwavering faith. She would soon face a test, a trial by fire that would demand every ounce of her strength and courage. That would define her legacy, shaping not only her own destiny but the fate of her entire people. The Silvani's treasured freedom was at stake, their way of life hanging precariously in the balance. Lyra's courage would be their shield, her wisdom their guide, her spirit their unwavering banner. The fate of the forest and its people, their traditions, their very existence, hung in the balance, teetering on the edge of oblivion. The story of Queen Lyra was about to begin, a tale of courage, sacrifice, and the enduring power of hope. In the heart of the woods, where the ancient trees whispered secrets to the wind, a beacon of hope, a single flame against the encroaching darkness, prepared to stand against the darkness, to defend her people and her land with every fiber of her being. The world was about to change forever, and the fate of the Silvani rested on the shoulders of their young queen. The Athelian Empire, symbolized by a golden eagle, conquered lands with roads, fortresses, and iron rule. They arrived in Silvani lands promising friendship, but their true face soon emerged. Heavy taxes, cleared sacred groves, and new laws eroded Silvani traditions. The Silvani language was pushed aside, their freedom slipped away. Young men were conscripted, resources seized, and resentment grew. Open defiance seemed impossible against the Empire's might. Fear became a daily companion. Queen Lyra watched her people suffer, her heart heavy with their burden. The Empire's promises faded, replaced by demands and decrees. The Silvani's simple life was shattered. Their spirit, however, was not broken. Lyra's resolve hardened as she witnessed the cost of submission. The seeds of resistance began to take root. The Silvani's patience was wearing thin. Change was coming, and Lyra would lead it. King Theron, Lyra's husband, stood before the Athelian governor, his voice filled with desperate pleas for justice. He sought fairness and compassion, but the Athelian governor, a man hardened by power and devoid of empathy, dismissed him as a mere subject, unworthy of consideration. His pleas fell on deaf ears. Falsely accused of rebellion, a charge fabricated to silence dissent, Theron was executed without trial, a swift and brutal end to his reign. His death served as a chilling warning to all who dared to question the Empire's authority, a stark reminder of their absolute power. Lyra, forced to witness this horrific act, watched her world shatter into a million pieces, her heart consumed by grief and despair. The Empire's cruelty deepened, its iron fist tightening around Lyra and her people, seeking to break their spirit and crush any hope of resistance. She and her daughters were seized, dragged from their home and subjected to public humiliation, their dignity stripped away. They were paraded through the streets, used as examples of what happened to those who defied the empire's will. The governor, blinded by his own arrogance, believed he had crushed the Silvani pride, extinguishing any embers of rebellion. But from the depths of Lyra's grief, a fierce and unyielding anger was born, a burning desire for vengeance and justice. Her suffering, once a source of despair, became a potent symbol of all the injustices her people had endured under the empire's oppressive rule. The queen was broken, yes, but from the ashes of her former self, a rebel emerged, stronger and more determined than ever before. Lyra's pain, her loss, ignited a fire within her soul, a burning flame of defiance, a fire that would not be extinguished, a fire that would consume the empire's arrogance and light the way to freedom. Her resolve became unbreakable, forged in the crucible of suffering, tempered by the fires of vengeance. The Silvani, witnessing her unwavering strength and determination, began to hope once more, their spirits lifted by her example. In their arrogance and cruelty, the empire had inadvertently created its own greatest enemy, a force of nature fueled by righteous anger. Lyra's transformation, her rise from victim to leader, inspired her people to cast off their chains of fear and despair. The time for silent submission, for bowing before the oppressor, was finally over, replaced by a burning desire for liberation. The time for resistance, for fighting back against the tyranny of the empire, had finally come, and Lyra would lead the charge. Lyra stood before her people, Scar's visible voice unyielding. She spoke of loss, humiliation, and the need to reclaim dignity. Her courage electrified the Silvani. Secret meetings gathered warriors and clan leaders beneath the moon. Lyra united rival tribes, appealing to their shared suffering and love for their land. Her speeches, raw and heartfelt, became legendary. She spoke as a mother, a queen, and a woman who had lost everything. Her grief and anger became the people's own. "They have taken our king, shamed your queen. Will you let them take your future?" The answer thundered back. "No." A fragile alliance formed, bound by hope and determination. Lyra's leadership turned sorrow into strength. The Silvani were ready to fight for their future. The rebellion was born in the heart of the forest. The uprising erupted like a storm, a fierce tempest. Patrols vanished without a trace, supply wagons ambushed in the night, tax collectors driven out. Lyra led from the front lines, her red hair a banner of defiance. The Athelians, caught completely off guard, underestimated the Silvani and their queen. Using their deep knowledge of the land, the Silvani struck swiftly and disappeared back into the woods. Early victories inspired hope and drew even more new fighters to Lyra's cause. Farmers brought spears, craftsmen forged arrows. The rebellion became a true army. But challenges loomed: discipline, dwindling supplies, and inferior weapons. Lyra juggled roles as warrior, leader, and strategist. Morale was her greatest weapon. The empire would not ignore this open defiance for very long. The initial shock would soon fade. Retaliation was absolutely inevitable. The Silvani braced for the coming storm. Their desperate fight for freedom had truly begun. News of the uprising reached the Athelian emperor, who vowed vengeance. A massive army was assembled to crush Lyra's rebellion. The empire's reputation was at stake. If the Silvani succeeded, others might rise. Lyra's defiance inspired hope in distant lands, sparking minor revolts. The Athelians found themselves stretched thin, facing unrest on many fronts. The war turned brutal. Villages burned, crops destroyed, the land soaked in blood. Lyra's forces fought bravely but suffered heavy losses. Every victory came at a terrible price. The woods echoed with battle and sorrow. Lyra knew the odds but refused to surrender. Her courage never wavered. The Silvani's spirit endured, even as the empire pressed harder. The cost of courage was high, but Lyra would not yield. The fate of her people depended on her resolve. The final battle was drawing near, a culmination of years of struggle and resistance. The air was thick with anticipation, a sense of foreboding hanging heavy over the land. Lyra and her brave warriors, though significantly outnumbered, prepared to face the empire's full might. They knew the odds were stacked against them, but their spirit remained unbroken. The Silvani fought bravely, with a ferocity born of desperation and a deep love for their homeland. Each warrior fought with the strength of 10, fueled by the hope of a future free from oppression. But alas, the empire's seemingly endless numbers and superior weaponry ultimately overwhelmed them. The battlefield became a scene of carnage, a testament to the brutal power of the Athelians. Lyra's fate, shrouded in mystery, quickly became legend, a tale whispered in hushed tones around campfires and in secret gatherings. Some say she fell valiantly in battle, a warrior's death befitting a queen. Others believe that she vanished into the deep, ancient woods, spirited away by the spirits of the forest. Though the rebellion was ultimately crushed, and the Silvani suffered a devastating defeat, it left an undeniable mark on the empire, a deep scar that would never fully heal. The immense cost of subduing the Silvani, both in terms of resources and manpower, made the Athelians far more cautious in their future conquests. Lyra's unwavering defiance served as a stark reminder of the true price of tyranny and the indomitable spirit of those who refused to be enslaved. Her story, deemed too dangerous, was deliberately omitted from the official histories written by the victors, but her people, the Silvani, never forgot. They kept her memory alive in their hearts. Around crackling campfires under the watchful eyes of the ancient trees, her tale was passed down through generations, becoming a potent symbol of courage, resilience, and unwavering resistance against oppression. Lyra's name became synonymous with the undying spirit of freedom, a beacon of hope in the darkest of times. She was the queen who dared to defy an empire, the woman who dared to say no to injustice and oppression. Her enduring legacy serves as a timeless lesson, a powerful reminder that true power does not reside in armies or empires, but rather in the unyielding strength of the human spirit. One person's courage, like a single